So we'll begin with offers then. So of course, this is probably the most basic issue, but it does require some analysis. So the person making the offer is the offerer, the person receiving the offer is the offeree. Remember this. Now it must be clear in its terms, and that becomes more important later. But it can be made orally, in writing, or by conduct. So orally, you just tell somebody you want to buy something. In writing, it could be a written text or something. By conduct, could be buying something in the shop, for example, so placing something. You never actually say, can I have this kind of pot, please? And then, of course, pay for it. It might just do it without any speaking at all. So it may be made to a definite person. So this is bilateral, but that can even be where there's multiple parties. So a bilateral offer can be made to multiple parties, but they're all very specific and it's made to each individual. But if it's made to more than one person or the whole world, that's a unilateral offer in which anybody can accept it just by doing what the offer states. So this is laid out in Carlyle Carbolic Smoke Bowl. Now, two of the things which are not offers, which are instead invitations to treat, like in Fisher Bell, Pharmaceutical Society in Great Britain, and Boots, these where things are displayed, so you're inviting somebody to make an offer. An invitation to treat also could be considered an advertisement, for example. So you might have, as in Partridge in Crittenden, offering for sale a wild bird, was not offering for sale because it was an advert inviting people to make offers. What we need to do though is distinguish that from reward posters. So anything which sets out specific conduct, like a Carlyle Carbolic Smoke Bowl, or has clear and definite terms with them. So it could be an advert to buy a certain amount of product from a shop, and if you do, that might be you accepting the offer should you do so. So they're invitations to treat. Now another trick you might need to remember, or something that AQA do on occasion, is have offer and acceptance together, but throughout the negotiation there'll be a request for information. Now a request for information is not an offer, nor is it acceptance, which we'll come to shortly. Now there are three main ways that you may come across termination of an offer. Now again, this can be found during a negotiation. So the main three are going to be acceptance. Of course, that's how the offer is likely to end, isn't it? You want a contract, and therefore you'll find the remedies if this offer has been accepted. We'll deal with that separately. Now death and lapse of time very rarely sort of come up. Of course, you might need to know these in overall, but for the application we're going to stick with the next two. So we're going to look at revocation. So somebody makes an offer, but at some point tries to remove that offer, and that's what revocation is, or they try to cancel the offer, and therefore there could be no remedies. Well, this might be okay, if it's before acceptance, it is okay, but you can do it in a number of different ways. So for example, it could be through a time limit. So you say, this offer is valid until this time. It could be a reasonable time's elapsed. The offer isn't going to stand forever, but that's judged on facts. It has to be revoked in the same way it was made. So if it's an advert in the newspaper, then again it has to be an advert in the newspaper, and it must be communicated as well. So it needs to reach the people who are going to make it, or at least attempted to. So those last 2 points are broken in the same way, and it must be communicated are key there. That's what revocation is. So look at cases like Routledge and Grant, Dickinson and Dodds for that. The second one is counter offer then. So counter offer is really a rejection of the original offer, and Hyde and Wrench illustrates this mirror principle in which the offer needs to be, or the offer needs to be accepted in exactly the same way. So it needs to be a mirror image. The only exception there is if it's a request for information. So for example, you might see, for example, where two parties have been offered something, one accepts but say, can I pay in installments, and the other says I'll pay with one price, for example, a lesser price. The counter offer in the latter will be rejected. The other, where they ask for the same amount but can I pay in installments, for example, or can I have credit, that's a counter offer. Sorry, that's not a counter offer, that's just a request for information, and so it is acceptance. And so we need to make sure we're aware of those things. So the counter offer is not, it's essentially rejection of an offer, and what you can't then do is go back to it, and you'll often find that's the case in problem questions where someone's offered something, they reject it by saying I'll take it for less money, and then they try to go back later on when that's rejected and say, well, I'll buy it for this original amount. Well, that's a new offer, and unless it's accepted, there's no contract.